Hi everyone, thanks for visiting and stopping by. I appreciate it. This is Pamela Pace with Purely Pam on YouTube. Today I am sitting down with a gentleman by the name of Jerry Hansen. Jerry lives here in the area. He lives in the Coventry area of Sun City, Anthem, the Anthem area. He and his wife Sandy. Sandy's down with their dog. Your dog's name is?
Roxy.
Roxy and Sandy are right down there. Anyway, we're doing this little video, but before I begin telling you anything about this video, hey, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I sure wish you'd do so. Just push that little subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever I do any of these videos. Notifications will come to you. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to get back to Jerry. Jerry, thanks for joining me, first of all.
You're welcome.
Jerry moved over here from
California.
Approximately
5 years ago.
He's a transplant, like most of us are in this area. Most of us are transplants, but tell us your experiences in the 5 years. Do you love it like the rest of us do, or?
Love it here.
It's great. It's
love
great
the weather, love the higher elevation. I miss the beach.
Oh yeah.
California.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, I don't miss California much, but we love it here. We're happy here.
Yeah, that's the experience of just about 99% of the people that I talk to that retire here. Okay, when Jerry retired is something that he's going to tell you about. I think it's really interesting. Jerry, pick it up from there. Tell us what you did as a career for the last how many years?
I have been a pilot, a commercial pilot, actually an air transport pilot for the last 35 years and just recently retired.
35 years. That's a long time. Now, with a specific carrier, and I don't know much about this, so you're going to have to walk me through.
I did not fly with the airlines.
Okay, so tell us what you flew, and tell us about the three different, Jerry was telling me earlier, there's three different kind of venues that you can go into when you're an aviator. Tell us about those.
Well, there's several venues. Once you get certified as a commercial pilot, then you can actually hold yourself out for hire. You can make a living as a pilot. Unless you have that commercial certification, you can't make a living. You can't be hired as a pilot. So you must achieve certain levels of certification and qualifications. So, but once you get to that level, there are several venues. You can be a banner tow pilot for hire. You can be a crop duster. You can be many things for hire. Okay,
so let me ask you, does that mean hours in the sky? You always hear that when talking to a pilot. You've got so many hours in the sky. So is that part of that?
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of pilots, the pilots who fly for the airlines, who fly privately, a lot of those pilots started their career off by building time, because there's a certain amount of time to reach certain certifications.
Okay.
And many of the pilots choose to instruct. So
why is that?
Because you get that time builds up on your time when you're instructing another pilot to become a pilot. That time gets to be logged on your total time.
Oh, there you go.
So while you're out there instructing,
you're building up their points as well as your own. Didn't know that.
So a lot of them start that way, and they build up that time, and then they move on.
To something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us what you chose, your path of career.
Well, I looked at the major three, and those major three, one is the airline.
Okay.
The airlines is classified as, and this is a federal aviation regulation reference. It's referenced as 121.
Okay.
Then there's the other one, which is private charter, which is referenced as 135.
Okay.
And then the other is cargo. Okay. So a lot of guys like to just fly cargo.
FedEx, is that the kind of UPS
sure.
Flying to places?
So instead of going and...
Remember Tom Hanks in the one that he went down. That's what he's talking about.
So I looked at all three of those venues, and I decided to stay with the corporate flying portion of it, which is flying charter. Charter is very much like the airlines, except for it's referred to as on demand.
Is there a reason that you decided to do that?
Yeah, because the destinations were a variety of destinations that the airlines don't usually go in and out of. I could go into the destinations that airlines went into, but I can also go into smaller airports. And typically with people that can afford to charter an airplane.
Gotcha.
Business people, VIPs, a lot of showbiz people charter airplanes. So you run across a variety of people.
I bet.
And you get to go to
all
many
different
destinations.
Places.
Yes.
How many countries have you been in?
I haven't been all over the world, but I've been over in the UK. I've been down into Mexico and Canada, South America, and of course back and forth to Hawaii.
Hawaii, yeah.
Oh,
so, imagine just having a go to Hawaii.
Yep.
Okay, tell me something. What is one of your most memorable charters that you've ever done? Is there an experience that you kind of go, oh man, yeah, I remember that?
There's a lot, but I think I would identify those great memories by the place that I've been with, as opposed to the people so much.
Really?
Instead of identifying with the people that I've been flying with, I would identify with a great place that I've been to.
Oh yeah. So a place like
back east in the Virginias.
Oh really?
Great to be. Yeah. Depending on the time of the year, the color, the environment. I was back there in I think it was West Virginia, and I was there for 3 or 4 nights. And a layover, and it happened to be on Thanksgiving.
Oh.
And I actually had Thanksgiving dinner on the road at this great restaurant. Don't ask me to tell you what the name of the restaurant was, but it was as good, if not better, than any home cooked meal I've ever had.
Really?
And the countryside was just incredible.
Yeah.
I loved it.
My fellow hillbillies. There's brothers and sisters over there in the West Virginia hills, kind of like us.
Vancouver.
My husband says Vancouver's a beautiful
Vancouver is beautiful. If you get a chance to go up there and you actually lay over up there, just stay up there for 3 or 4 days, then there's a lot of things to do. The countryside is beautiful. So those are the memorable moments for me. It's mostly location as opposed to, and I've flown some wonderful people. Rudy Giuliani was running for president. This is quite a long time ago. I was his captain on his plane.
Wow. And I know that this is kind of personal, but people want to know, there's things that you kind of want to go, on the average, pilots make per year about what? Are you?
It all depends on the aircraft that they're flying.
Okay.
If you're flying smaller aircraft, doing smaller trips, shorter trips, then the pay is typically less. But as you start to fly more complex aircraft and you're on the road quite a bit more, then the pay usually goes up. So the pay can go anywhere from $70,000, $80,000 a year all the way up to $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have the same crew all the time, or was it a different crew with every charter that you did? Is it, do you get to know the same people all the time and work with them, or?
In the charter business, there's usually a pilot pool, especially if there's a fleet of specific aircraft. And depending on who's available to fly that day, I may fly with a first officer that I'm familiar with.
Oh, okay.
Or I may fly with somebody that's recently just been hired. A lot of times the captains themselves are training captains. So you have a double duty in some cases, not only fly the mission, but also help groom the first officer.
Kind of an instructor, like you were talking about earlier, an instructor to an instructor. You brought some cards here that aviators, Jerry's got some cards here, and he's going to explain them to you, because they're kind of interesting they're 2 different cards, and he'll go into
this is the pilot certificate. Now, pilot certificates are issued once you reach a certain level of ability to fly certain airplanes. Airplanes are broken down into category and class. Category, for instance, would be an airplane.
Okay.
Another category would be a seaplane. Another category would be a glider, a balloon, and so on.
Oh, really?
So there's many
the same
categories.
Aviation. Yeah, whoever. A balloon is in the sky too. So yeah, I guess that's right.
Each one of those, you have to go through a certain amount of training.
Okay.
And you have to be tested both in written and in practical testing.
Okay.
In those particular venues. Most pilots just stay in airplane land, what they call is either single engine land or multi-engine land categories. Commercial is the first step in being able to hold yourself out for hire as a pilot.
Okay.
But there are certain airplanes that you fly that require a higher rating yet, and that's air transport pilot, ATP.
And that's what you've got there.
That's what I have here.
Hey, pretty big stuff there when you've got one of those cards.
Then there's certain airplanes that you fly that you have to be typed in. When I say typed, which means that you have to be specifically trained both in ground and in flight instruction.
Okay.
And then get tested, and then have to do not only a written test, but you have to do a flight test.
So this is kind of like doubled up on the first card. You're doubling up now.
If you pass those tests, both ground and flight tests, then they issue you a type rating for that particular airplane.
Okay.
So for instance, on mine, I have a Challenger 604 and I have a Hawker. I have 5 different types. Those are all listed on this certificate.
The card.
Yes.
So do you present those to anyone, or what?
It's like your driver's license.
Ah.
It's just like
Do
your
they
driver's
pull you
license.
over in the air ever and say, hey, let me see your card?
No, but they could come up to you on the ramp.
Can they really?
Sure, and they ask for your certificates.
No kidding.
And then, of course, your medical. And your medical, these are issued forever. They don't take these certificates away unless you've done something bad. Just like your driver's license.
Right.
But it has to be supported by a medical. In order to fly as an ATP, air transport pilot, you need to hold a medical certificate, what they refer to as a first-class medical certificate.
Okay.
For somebody like me, over 40, I have to go back and see the doctor every 6 months.
Wow.
And every 12 months, I have to get an EKG.
Even now, you have to do that?
Yes.
Wow.
As long as I can hold this certificate, then I can exercise the privileges that are issued on this certificate.
Oh, wow.
That's the way it works. The next.
So you could go back and fly right now if you needed to with that.
Yep.
Yeah. If
I just
somebody
need
called
to-
you up and said, hey, Jerry, we need you to come over and to McLaren and
I would just have to update my medical because my medical has expired.
Wow. So you don't ever, they pull you back in. Do you ever get pulled back in?
Sometimes,
Do you?
yeah, I have a couple times. I've retired prior to
Numerous
this,
times?
and then I've gone back, and now I'm still working as a consultant. I help operators expand. I help them with regulatory issues, help them start up operations. So there's many ways that I can help, use my experience, my knowledge.
Well, let me ask you about this then. There's lots of growth going on over in the executive airport portion. We live over here, our area is over near tell me about it, executive airport.
Henderson
Henderson
Executive.
Yes, and that's where a lot of, I would assume, charter planes fly into,
Yes.
correct? Yeah.
That was my last job, as a matter of fact, was at
Over
Henderson. I won't mention any of the names over there, but I was the director of operations over there. So the FAA requires that there's somebody in that management position, and it's a management position that the company can pick and choose
Who they want.
the individuals that they want to be in that position, but the FAA has the last word.
Oh.
It has to be, that person has to be approved by the FAA. They have to meet certain experience qualifications, ratings such as this, and so on. So once the FAA puts a blessing on you, then
You're in.
and then they hold you responsible for everything that's happening on that flight line.
So it's you know,
It's a
it could
big
be
responsibility.
a lot of responsibility. One thing that they told us when we moved out here is we're in a flight path in Sun City Anthem. That's the only downside. But there are numerous planes that come over our area every day. Is the aviation area growing in this end of town? Is it?
Yeah, it is, and there's sometimes it's seasonal. Sometimes it gets busy depending on the season.
But we've seen an upswing
And the
in
economy
growth
as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The economy has a lot to do with it, but the general aviation, as opposed to the 121 or the airline part of it. We talked about airline 121, and then we talked about private charter. Private charter used to be just kind of a little ma and pa business.
Not anymore.
It's a big business.
Yeah,
now.
I would imagine in this town it's become very big. People, celebrities, people, not even celebrities, people you know, that want to just fly in and they don't want to have to deal with the airlines.
It's a party
and the
town.
airport. Yeah,
People want to come here.
It is, and hopefully it's getting back to that. Hopefully we're on our way.
Yep.
We're on our way back. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
So the FAA looks at those particular operators very close. There's a lot of similarities between the private charter operator and the airlines. There are some differences, but there are a lot of regulatory similar rules and regulations that you have to comply with. Yeah.
Both areas have to deal with.
Safety is a big issue, of course. Yeah.
Well, Jerry, thank you so much for doing this. Sure. I hope everybody's learned more. I know I have. I didn't know about some of this stuff. This is the kind of stuff that I want to let everybody else know about. There's no reason.
Yeah.
If you're like me, and I think he is, we love it out here. This is a great place to come and retire to. If you want a place to come and really find a lot of good people, a lot of good. It's growing so big, isn't it? I mean, it just continues. It amazes me when we drive around.
We have a huge influx of other states. Californians are moving here.
A lot of Californians are moving here. So because of I think a lot of it is to do with the weather. Look at this. It's a gorgeous day. Jerry said to me when he came up, I'm dressed casually. We all dress casually out here anymore. So, hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed already, I would really appreciate you doing so. Just hit that subscribe button. I'm going to keep bringing you these kind of videos, and hopefully you'll keep watching them. Until next time, this is Pamela Pace with Purely Pam. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.